talk to you.
Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host, the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can. And oh yeah, your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard of Streams for another edition of the Smackdown Breakdown, part of Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, where we take no nights off. And obviously you can't have Pitts and Sara's wrestling show, no nights off, without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
What's popping?
Please address your King General.
My Gunther. New little prop. Little peep. New little peep added to the set. We love it.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Yep, he's a big fan.
Where's so we have to get word of the other two, because those got to be added as well once they return from being fixed.
Well, oh yeah, Pretty Deadly. I thought you meant the others of Imperium. I'm like, I can't get myself to buy the Giovanni Vinci one because they did him dirty. So
they did do him dirty.
They gave him no neck. I was like, last time I looked, he had a neck. So I'm a little confused. But
yeah, he has a neck. I wouldn't say it's like blockhead status.
No, they literally have his chin to his chest, and I don't get it. It's just
that's the thing about action figures, that like the way they make it sometimes, it really just kind of fucks the person's look up a bit.
Yeah, but they did a good job on Gunther, so
they did a good. They do. I've tried. Not gonna lie, secret time. I've kind of tried to mimic my hairstyle now with Gunther. Like, I legit go to my hairdresser and I showed her a picture of Gunther. I'm like, all right, like this.
Give me this.
Like, how can I have this hair? And she's like, all right, got you. And like, we kind of did it. We got a little longer on the sides here because we're not there yet. I kind of want to be a little bit more buff for that, but that's neither here or there. Before I get talking nonsense, we have to address the peeps that are here on this, loyal peeps here on this fine Saturday. Vinny, Ladarius was popping 2 different places. We'd love to see that. YouTube and X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Twitter is Twitter. Stop
it's
it.
always gonna be Twitter, but like I saw a tweet the other day where it was like, I have to settle something. It was like, people really don't call it Twitter anymore. I'm like, what do you?
Yeah, they do.
They do. What world are you living in?
The only people who call it X are people who are basically in official positions. I feel like WWE refers to it as X, or people who are just trying to be different because they want to be different. They call it X. No one calls it Twitter. I saw Elon going back and forth with people about it the other day, and people were like, we don't call it X, and he was like, yeah, we do. And it's like, yeah, you would say that.
You named it.
Yeah, it's like, it's X. No, it's not X. I can still go to twitter.com. So
yes,
yeah. So I don't know what he's talking about.
It's just, it boggles my mind.
Yeah,
why something like that changed. I don't get it. That's neither here or there. Hello, Bernard. Hello. What's poppin'? I still say Twitter. Sheena, I know. Like, I only, like, it's
same
because you tweet.
Yeah.
You don't exit.
No.
Like,
and it's like, he can't own X. I'm pretty sure that it's already trademarked and whatever. Like, he can't own that name. So I don't really even understand why he still is using it. But
you can't own a letter. It was like, right? Am I the idiot here?
There was nothing. Well, and the thing is there was nothing wrong with keeping the name and doing the updates that you wanted to do to it. That's fine. Like, I don't know why people always run to making the most changes out of something, thinking that that's going to be better or something. It's like, no, you don't need to do all that all the time.
I'm not gonna lie, I agree. It just makes no sense to me. One more comment here before we get into
hey,
that was one of the best. I don't know who this is.
He's a mutual on Twitter.
Oh, what's poppin'? That was one of the best weeks I've seen from WWE in a long time.
I agree.
I mean,
Smackdown delivered, bro.
That's kind of the segue here that I'm using it with, is that we have the incredible week
Yep.
that we did in WWE. I mean, Seth Rollins kicked it off coming back.
Joe Hendry showed up on
Joe
NXT.
fucking Hendry.
You didn't
Like,
follow through with what you said what you would do if it happened.
what'd I do?
Because when we were streaming at the beginning, you were like, we were saying that we hadn't seen anything about what NXT, the Battle Royal was going to be, who was going to win, who were going to be the surprise entrances. And I was like, yeah, I keep hearing people saying Joe Hendry. And you're like, oh my God, if it's Joe Hendry, I will scream. I don't care if my parents are here and hear me. I will scream. You did not scream.
Oh, yeah. You know why?
Because you weren't trying to spoil it for me, but then it got spoiled anyway. So
do you want me to scream right now?
No, I'm good. I'm just saying you owe us one, I guess, eventually.
I got to scream in the pocket.
Okay.
We said his name and he did appear.
Maybe we should just celebrate together for a quick second.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe in Joe Hendry. Yes. So I'm excited because we didn't get to talk about that either because it was just a chaotic week. But they clearly believe in Joe Hendry because this man got his own entrance. He got a cut to promo, and then he had, all the entire ring gang up on him. Then he had that backstage segment with Shawn Michaels. So they believe in Joe Hendry, which is very exciting.
Anytime you have a backstage segment with Shawn Michaels or anyone in that type of role, it's not a one-off. I'll just let you know.
No, yeah. Well, and based off of how they handled him too, like he cuts the promo and is like, I'm going to win, blah, blah, blah. And then when you have the entire Battle Royal target you to eliminate you, that's like a sign usually too, that something else is going to be coming eventually. So that's exciting because we were saying, I mean, I know a lot of people were saying that they wanted Joe Hendry on TNA, but I think it's mostly because he was so popular. But we were saying we thought it would be cool for him to be more involved than just a one-off in NXT. So that's exciting.
He's I think number 1 or 2 most viewed YouTube video on WWE channel or social video.
No, he had the most liked tweet of WWE's social Twitter, like
since WrestleMania,
his debut. Yeah,
it has 14 million views.
Yeah, and it had like close to 100,000 likes or something crazy. That last I looked, it had like 95, I think. But
sorry, the most liked tweet in WWE since this new era, we'll say, is about a man who doesn't work for the company, and it's a crossover, which is the one thing that Vince said he would never do. See, like, this is what I'm talking about. All right, didn't I say this? I said this needed to happen, or whatever. This is the new era.
I'm loving the TNA NXT crossover so far. I think they've done a really good job, and I'm excited to see what else is to come because there are quite a few former WWE talents in TNA as well. So it's kind of interesting to be like, okay, well, they really opened that forbidden door. You know what I mean?
It's smashed. It's more like a forbidden lobby at this point.
Yeah, it really is. It's like a revolving door almost.
Seriously. Like AEW's doing the thing with with New Japan, now CMLL, which they struggle with, and good for them, seriously, to get that deal done. But now you have on the other side of the fence, you have WWE and TNA doing crossovers. We're definitely going to see, I think we'll see at some point, like a United Kingdom intertwine with, at least with NXT. And what's his face? Charlie Dempsey, but William Regal's son, already went to compete for New Japan. We have Io Sky and someone else competing
AJ Styles.
in Martyrdom.
AJ Styles is doing a match too.
Marigold, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. And that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I
awesome.
feel like I'm not trying to down talk what AEW is doing, but I do think that what WWE is doing caters a bit more to the average wrestling fan. You know what I mean? Because I feel like what AEW is doing is great. But it's like such a niche audience, like you really have to be super deep in wrestling and New Japan and stuff like that to know who all of these people are or to realize how cool this is or whatever. And a lot of normal wrestling fans aren't. You know what I mean? They know what's on TV. So maybe they don't know everybody in TNA, but they know what TNA is, and they know their top stars and stuff. So WWE working with them makes sense. Like that I think is a better move for them than if they were going to try and work with more indie guys that are really exciting, but like the normal person is like, who? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
But it's very on brand. I mean, that is what Tony Khan would do, and that is what WWE would do. So like they're not really doing anything wild and crazy here. So,
and at the end of the day, it's all good for the entire business.
Yes.
So why wouldn't we be all for it?
All right, so let's get into SmackDown.
It's just this is fun. Yes.
Kicked off with the mayor of Chicago, Mr. CM Punk. Even Paul Heyman said something about him being, the king of the town or whatever he said. So Punk didn't really say that much. I think it was, he's in Chicago. WWE has learned from years past, if Punk is in the company and you're in Chicago, you need to have Punk on your show, or they're going to hijack the show with CM Punk chants. So you might as well just do it. And that's what they did. So he just comes out, hypes up Chicago per usual, trash talks Drew McIntyre per usual at this point. But Paul Heyman interrupted, and he was legitimately blown away, I would say, about the reaction, because he was not booed. He was actually cheered for, and there was a lot of ECW chants. But he it looked to me like he was taken aback a little bit. Like
it looked like he was taken aback more. It was perfect for how he was feeling in the state of the bloodline, we'll say, and all that. Yeah. And then it broke him, but not in a comedic way. Like it broke him in a holy shit, this is real. And he had to step out. Like that hug.
He's just that hug? He's a much more sympathetic character now. I think that's the thing. Yeah. That was the best way to go about his transition from being, the wise man, everybody hating him for what he was saying and what he was doing on behalf of Roman. Now it's like he fears his daily life with the Bloodline 2.0. And then, of course, him coming out and reuniting with one of the most prominent figures that he was paired with in his career. Easy way for people to love him, I would say.
I love when he does the may I in the ring. It's like CM Punk's like, Paul, get in the come on.
But it's also like he's learned from the past, because other times he's gotten in the ring and they put his hands on him. So I don't blame him. He's like nice. He's flipping it completely. Like everything that he used to do, he's not doing anymore. He's doing the complete opposite. So it's like character evolution,
Character development.
So he's out there to warn Punk and is telling him, you might want to leave. And you kind of think, oh, maybe is he warning him about Drew McIntyre? No, he's warning him about the bloodline, because he said, yeah, this is your city. Obviously, you are the king of Chicago, but that is the goal of Solo Sikoa. Every town that we go to, that's what he wants to be. He wants to be considered the guy in that city. So I would suggest you leave. They're not scared to do what they want to do to whoever they want to do, which then prompts the Bloodline 2.0 to come out and tell Punk that he's going to be killed on national television, essentially. They get in the ring, and it's looking like Punk is not afraid to take these three men on by himself. But obviously, Captain America makes his way to equal the odds and then challenges Solo for a match, which ends up being the main event. So there was a lot of stories, I feel like, that were intertwining in this.
A lot of intertwining stories here. I loved it. That's why I loved it. A lot of intertwining stories.
Yeah, and we'll get to what happens in the main event, obviously, but I am just loving the direction of what the Bloodline 2.0 is doing. And I think that we already have talked about this, and I'm saying it again simply because I was going back and forth with a couple people on Twitter during, after SmackDown, I think, because there's so many people who don't like Solo, or they're not buying into it. And I get it. Solo isn't great 100% of the time, but I also think that, as I've said, Roman Reigns was not 100% great all the time either.
Yeah.
Because he's an established figure in our minds, because he's been around for so long, you kind of forgive him and he was the champion for almost 4 years. So like if he has a bad moment, you're like, okay, whatever. Solo isn't getting that same leniency because obviously he's had not even half the career that Roman has had as far as length.
Yeah.
But I don't think that what they're doing is that bad. I feel like they're accomplishing what they want to accomplish, and it's entertaining. Like you're interested in seeing, or at least I am, and what they're going to do next. And then what we saw in the main event, like I said, we'll get to that. Why aren't you invested in this? You know?
I don't get it. I understand the Solo sucks and all that because it's wrestling, but to actually say that it sucks, and critique it that way, saying it sucks, that's kind of ignorant. It's just stupid because you're not looking at the full scope of it. He's supposed to be just kind of chaotic, erratic, like the decisions he's making, like how he's going about it, because like that's the role, you know what I mean? Like,
see, like I agree with Richard here, but in a different way. Yeah, I think that's the whole point, is that he's supposed to be that, because we reiterated this when we talked about it before, that everybody just keeps comparing him to what the original bloodline was, specifically comparing him to the tribal chief Roman Reigns. And because he is not living up to what Roman was at that point throughout his career, then we're saying Solo is bad. Well, I feel like in a way he's supposed to be coming off like, okay, this is my role, this is my job. He's not supposed to come off like he earned it, or that he is being like he's not successful at it. It's almost like he is wearing shoes that are too big for him, and he's trying to do all of these things to be like Roman, but he's not pulling it off. So that's why it's like he keeps bringing in these guys, and he brings in guys that are violent, because it's like, okay, well, that instills the fear in you, rather than, okay, I'm Roman Reigns, I've been champion for 3.5 years, that's why you fear me. Or these are the Usos, they are the longest reigning tag team champions ever, like that's why you fear them. Solo doesn't have that. So instead, it's like, let me surround myself with the baddest mother effers around, that happen to be in my family, and that is going to make me look like I am the tribal chief, I am the guy, I am the boss, and that is why us as a collective is why you fear me.
Solo was made to do one thing for the bloodline, and it was violence at all times.
That was his role.
That was his role.
Literally.
So now that's literally what his role was. Like, so
the enforcer. That was the whole thing.
So when he goes into that role, his only mentality is violence, because that's what Roman instilled with him. So he's bringing in these just absolute, just badasses. Just, I throw a word out there and it's probably fits. Like, these dudes are just insane with God. And now, like, you gotta go into that. You gotta have more of an open mind with that, because that's where to go.
Yeah, I think that people are just being a little bit unfair, but I know that a lot of wrestling fans just react to what they see, right? Like that they don't go any deeper, or they don't try and like actually think about why this is happening or what this means and stuff like that. And maybe we overanalyze, but that's just how my brain works naturally. Especially like as we were kind of talking about this before we went live, where you can't watch anything during the Triple H era like single focused. It's not just what you're seeing on TV, because there's things going on in the background. There's other things that are being said to you on commentary. There's things being happening in a social media video that they posted or something. Like there's so much going on all the time. You can't just be, whatever you're shown is what it is, if that makes any sense.
No, you can't. You have to pay attention to every little detail.
Yes, exactly. Ladarius says, Gunther is in the way, so I have to go around him so I can read the comment.
Ring general.
Yeah, excuse me. He says no one's filling the shoes, but Solo's got a group that makes him look stronger than he is, and Fatu makes the bloodline a force surrounded with strength. Exactly. We'll get to Jacob later. Obviously, got to save the best for last. But that's that's the thing, is everything that they're doing, and we've said this already, I think last week or the week before. This is a bloodline that The Rock would put together. because Roman was about kind of accolades, proving his worth and why he was better than you, and also being sneaky. He was a little bit, he didn't really do things like obviously, you know what I mean, not all the time. Whereas I feel the Rock came back, and the second that they did the pivot, he was all about just like beating your ass. Like, look at what he did to Cody. That is literally what the Bloodline 2.0 is doing. So what's the problem? That's the thing that I don't, just give Solo a chance. Listen to me, guys. I like to bring this up, and I'm going to bring it up always. I called really this a year ago.
Do it.
I love how I did that, because I'm actually like so proud of myself, because that was such a random thought that I had, and the fact that it actually happened. I'm like,
yeah.
You
know what? Yeah, I could listen to you, because I'm wrong way too often now.
Yeah, you should listen to me.
Oh
wait, I wanted to say hi, Nathaniel. I hope you're feeling better, because Nathaniel was sick.
Oh shit. Okay.
Byron says, have you noticed that every pay-per-view under Triple H has had a surprise? I love that.
Yeah, because every pay-per-view that he was on when he was a wrestler had basically a similar surprise.
Yeah. I like it because it makes you not want to miss a pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I think that there were times where I didn't care if I didn't get to see, the Royal Rumble under Vince or something like that, because you kind of just knew, but I'm just saying. And I wanted to touch on this really quickly. It wasn't like a huge point of the show, but I did want to touch on it because I find it interesting. So Wade Barrett, as if you watched Clash at the Castle and then you watched the post show specifically, you would know all of the comments that Wade Barrett had to say about the main event, and specifically about CM Punk and his role in the main event. And he was very vocal about his stance on not thinking that it was okay, and that there needed to be actions taken against CM Punk, specifically, that's my favorite word right now, firing him, fining him something, because he ruined the main event. And this was the second time that he has caused Drew McIntyre in a title match. So then we find out that he was fined for his comments about Punk at Clash of the Castle, but Punk was not. And that is the big reason for what set off Drew, because he feels like he was wronged again, and they haven't done anything to right the situation, despite, it was in Scotland, it was an international pay-per-view, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. What I found the most interesting about this, obviously we know, guys, if you're not, because so many people were confused, it's kayfabe. It's not real. Wade was not really fined.
Yeah.
So many follow-up tweets were like, wait, is this real? No.
Well, his thing, Wade Barrett was fined, not Stu.
Wade Barrett, not Stu Bennett. Stu Bennett. What I thought was interesting, though, was how many people who are big Punk fans were actually defending Wade. That I thought was interesting, because he was calling for his firing. You know what I mean? But I think that people saw truth in what Wade was saying. If you're obviously given just thinking about it from a storyline perspective, they were crediting him for like, yeah, Punk had no right to be out there. How was he able? Why was he in Scotland? Why was he able to get a referee shirt? Why was he out there and not kicked out? Why was he not fined for impersonating a referee? Why was he not fined for putting his hands or his leg on Drew McIntyre? But then Wade saying things like, oh, he should have been fired. Why was that punishable?
It's kind of a double standard. They put themselves, if you want to go that way. I mean, I don't blame Drew and Wade for saying and doing what they did. When you put it that way, but it adds more fuel to the fire. It adds more fuel to this feud. Yeah. Where it kind of needed it.
Yeah, it's getting deep. Like, this
it's getting very deep.
And what's crazy when you really think about it, and that's why I think, and I've advocated for this multiple times, not just because he's one of my favorites, but I do think that Drew McIntyre deserves a hell of a lot more credit than he gets, because the reason why we're so invested in this storyline is not because of Punk. It's because of Drew. Drew has kept this feud with Punk alive when Punk was on the shelf for the past 5-6 months. So the reason why you're so emotionally into this feud and eventual match is because of all the things that Drew was saying, and then the random pop-ups of what Punk was doing in retaliation. So I think that Drew deserves more credit for making us interested in something that hasn't even happened yet. Like, that is a skill that not a lot of people have. You know, a lot of the time, if someone's injured, you kind of, at least in WWE or in wrestling in general, you kind of ignore them. You know, like,
you
we don't
forget about
talk.
them.
Yeah, you don't talk about them because, yeah, they're on the shelf. Like, they're not going to be a part of a legitimate storyline unless, you know, like, if we're going to talk about like Rey Mysterio and his knee, like, that became the fuel for why Santos became a heel. But in general, you know, you're not going to be talking about Rey Mysterio for 5 months while he's dealing with a knee injury. You know what I mean? So shout out to Drew, because I think, as I said, he deserves more credit. Then let's get into the Money in the Bank qualifying matches, I was very pleased with all of these matches.
I thought they were really good. Very entertaining. Great TV matches.
Yeah, so we first saw Bianca Belair versus Michin, who Michin is like a goddess right now, I have to say. The brown hair, the new gear, the pigtails, just like, I mean, she's always been pretty. I'm not saying she hasn't, but I just love the change up. You know,
I do too.
So shout out to you.
And she's working like NXT and in the North American Women's match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's in these and putting on really solid matches, like getting an offense and stuff. Like, this is how you can push someone without having them win every match.
Yeah. And using them in a way that benefits themselves and others, you know. And then we also had Chelsea Green, which was exciting. I think on the surface, most people thought Bianca Belair was going to win. I kind of felt that way too, except I didn't think that they were going to want to split Bianca and Jade just yet, just because they just lost the titles. I don't think that they're just going to immediately jump into like, okay, they're going onto single stuff. So I loved this match. I loved Michin doing the Styles Clash. Hello.
That was such a good move. She did it so well.
She did.
Chelsea Green with the head up. Just, you got to keep your head up in that.
Yeah. I love that Chelsea won. I love the way that Chelsea won. And Chicago is not always a great crowd. They're not. Punk was there, so it amped them up. They're not always great. They're not. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying they're not always the best reactors all the time. That's all I'm saying. They were super into this match and super supportive of Chelsea.
That pop when she got the 3 count?
That shocked me legitimately, because she's in the ring with one of the most over girls with Bianca Belair. You know what I mean? Like, that's not easy to get the crowd to get behind you when someone like Bianca is out there.
She's too goddamn entertaining, Sarah. She's too goddamn entertaining to not have her on television.
And it just excites me also because we've been talking about how good Chelsea is in wrestling, like how good of a wrestler she actually is and how tough she is. She's badass.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she's going to be able to be in a ladder match, and we're going to hopefully be able to see a lot of those things that you saw from her in the indies, I'm excited.
If you want to see Chelsea Green in a ladder match to give you a little taste of what is to come at Money in the Bank, there's a ladder match with her and Deonna Purrazzo in TNA. There's a spot in there where they both fall from the ladder. Everyone needs to go look at it. Like, Chelsea is world championship material. This is just the stage that they're putting her on right now for everyone to see that for themselves.
She might be super over too because she's Canadian. I don't remember if she's
they had that. Yeah. They
so
said in her hometown.
Yeah, so is she from Toronto? I don't remember.
No, she's from Vancouver.
I don't remember. But she could be super over. So that was exciting. I think that it was the right decision. You know, Bianca doesn't need it. I think that we might see some interesting people in this year's matches, which is really fun. Because
Victoria,
I like when it's not the typical people. You know what I mean? Like we saw this match, you thought it was going to be Bianca, and it wasn't Bianca, so that was nice.
No.
Same thing with one of the men's, which was Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes versus Tama Tonga. Everyone, I would assume, believed that it was going to be Randy Orton. Instead, we got a similar ending to the
Very
Chelsea,
similar.
the women's Money in the Bank qualifying match
Very
with Carmelo Hayes. So that I think is great too, because we know how good he is in the ring, especially with a stipulation. And he does some crazy things in the ring, especially as a
He's
high
incredible.
flyer. So hello.
Come on.
Banger.
Mello is money.
Yes. Yes.
There
See,
you
we
go.
say that here because I thought it was hilarious that Carmella got so mad about it.
Oh. By the way,
That-
segue, because we didn't get to have, or sidebar, I mean, because we didn't have the Thursday show this week, and I
Mhm.
didn't get to tell you about the bad gal. Your feud with Carmella was amazing.
Yeah, I just watched the end of it. So
End of what?
the stream that you did.
Oh, okay. It
Um,
was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad that it ended up being a feud instead of continuing as a
As a tag team.
tag team, because like, girl, no.
Dude, 'cause she took our logo. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. And then we also got a second men's qualifying match, which was Kevin Owens versus Andrade El Idolo. I always have to slow down. And versus Grayson Waller. And I have to tell you, I am so excited that Andrade won. I am so excited. He
it
was
was the right call.
incredible in this match. Was he not?
Oh, I thought you were gonna keep it. He was
No.
absolutely insane. The shit he was doing, like anytime you put him in the fast-paced type of match, the strike, like it's so good and it needs to be shown more.
Yes.
And at this point, like we don't need to the other two in the match. They got other shit going on. All right, like as we saw. And Grayson Waller, as much as I would say does deserve to be in a Money in the Bank ladder match one day.
He's really good too.
He's so good. That's like
Yeah.
I would love to see him in that, but he's still gotta choose between Theory or his own ego.
Yeah.
All right. And and Andrade, finally, like they keep mentioning the WWE Speed Champion. I like that because it's promoting speed.
Right.
And to have him in that type of match, he's someone that you could realistically think like I could see him as Money in the Bank.
He's been in a Money in the Bank, hasn't he? I swear he has.
I would say yes. I would go with my gut and say yes that he has been.
That's what my gut is telling me too. I swear I've seen him in a match before.
Was
but
he in the 2021 from Stanford?
He might have been. I don't know.
Oh, if that's the only one, and Otis.
I mean, I'm not saying that counts. I just mean like I swear I've seen him in one of these. But
me too. I would say.
I think that who they have in the match so far is perfect. That's why I think that Andrade was the right one. Okay, perfect. 2 out of 3. I'm going to say 2 out of 3. So it's great who they have, because I don't think that Jey Uso should have been in this match over Finn Balor, but it is what it is. So we have Melo, Jay, and Andrade are the first 3 announced in the men's Money in the Bank. I'm excited. I feel I always get more excited about when Triple H is involved in this type of thing, because you know that he's not just going to put in the typical people. You know, again, we could have thought, okay, Kevin Owens is going to be in this Money in the Bank, you know? And so I'm glad that even though I've been on here complaining about how he's not using Andrade, I love that, okay, he's putting him in a big time match.
In the match. Yeah.
They also announced next week's qualifying matches for SmackDown, which will be Naomi versus hold on, we're gonna start over again in a second, because
I'm so sorry. I have no idea.
name wrong. I spelled Blair's name wrong.
Oh,
I put B-A-L because I'm dummy. Okay, so next week's Money in the Bank qualifying matches that were already announced will be Naomi versus Blair Davenport. Thank God she's finally debuting, versus Indy Hartwell. I could see it being Blair or Naomi. Nothing against Indy, but Indy's got something going on with Candice and whatever. Naomi simply because of the type of wrestler that she is, and because they might want to put her in the women's
It's a
title
big
picture.
name. It's a big name.
But it's also a big match for Blair to be debuting on SmackDown. So that's why I'm like, that might be the direction they go in. Also, I don't know.
That's Triple H is known for being a guy who sees someone like a Blair Davenport, and as soon as he gets his hands on the creative side, he pushes it to the moon. He's done it with he did it with a lot of people in NXT, and Blair Davenport could be a sneaky good addition to SmackDown with how many different feuds and people she can intertwine with tagging and going up against.
And she's such a different character for the women's division right now. There's no one that's like her right now. Especially with Rhea gone. Like that darker attitude type of chick is like missing right now. So she fits that for SmackDown. Then we have this one really irritated me. I'm not gonna lie. We have LA Knight.
I knew it would. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "You're gonna have something to say about this."
Oh,
I you know what? I'm just not even gonna say it. I'm gonna let you just speak it.
Okay.
And just see if how right I am. So go off.
So they're also against Santos Escobar because I didn't say that. Santos Escobar. So I get that they're trying to further this LA Knight versus Logan Paul feud, and that's probably what the end game is. It irks me to no end that they have Logan Paul in a Money in the Bank match when he's literally just come out and said that he wanted to face the champion at the time, and they gave him the match. He didn't need to have any. He didn't have to climb the ladder to get to the front of the line. He became the front of the line essentially just by going out there and being like, I want a match with Roman and Saudi. I want this match with Cody Rhodes. Like he doesn't need the Money in the Bank. Like if we're thinking from a logical standpoint, he doesn't need it. Not to mention he's the U.S. champion. Why are you in this match? You should be defending your United States championship. So the only way that I will be okay with this is I assume Logan is going to make sure that LA Knight can't win or something. Something's going to happen where maybe LA Knight wins the qualifying match and then Logan's going to make sure that LA Knight cannot win at Money in the Bank, which sets up their match for the US title at SummerSlam. That's the only way that I will be like okay with it, because then I would assume LA Knight is going to beat Logan Paul in his hometown of Cleveland at SummerSlam. That's the only way that I'll be okay with it. Otherwise, to me, Logan Paul does not deserve to be in Money in the Bank. There's no reason for that. And it makes more sense, I feel like, for him to make sure LA Knight doesn't win the match as opposed to LA Knight making sure Logan doesn't win the match. So yeah, that's the only way that I will not be fuming over this.
8 out of 10. I got that right.
Okay.
Because I thought you were going to say, basically that. It just, to me, I don't get who will take the pin. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, who's going to... Yeah, but then you put in LA, like, I didn't think Logan Paul would try to attack LA Knight in the match. Once you
not in this match, next match.
I know.
Money... Oh, okay,
I know.
Yeah.
In the Money in the Bank match, I was like, okay, that's how you get him on the show without all that. And it builds up. It's like, all right, so if that's the case, sure. I just believe that you could set up their match for SummerSlam in a different way. That's kind of basically what, like,
the reason I just think about that, because I think that people are going to be mad if LA Knight doesn't win and is not in the match at the Money in the Bank. I think people will be upset about that. And especially because he didn't win it last year. But I think then it's also pushing Logan to be an even bigger heel if he then makes sure that LA Knight can't win the Money in the Bank. You know what I mean? So it's like that sets it up. And like I said, I wouldn't be thrilled about it, but then I would just believe that means that LA Knight is finally going to dethrone Logan and become a champion in WWE. That's the only reason that I'd be like, all right, as long as the end game is LA Knight becoming United States champion at SummerSlam, then all the BS that I would typically not like leading up to this moment, I'll forget,
I don't care, like, about this match. You know what I mean? I'd rather see Santos versus like a Cedric Alexander, and I can't even think of another person because they just haven't been shown really.
Yeah.
Or like screw it, why not a DIY? Why not like a Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa?
They're probably
what
gonna
I
have.
mean?
They might have a tag team match instead. Then,
Yeah, but they could still have a tag team match at the pay-per-view or on Smack.
I'm
Like you can still.
Well, I'm assuming they're gonna have a tag match at Money in the Bank, and that's probably when we're finally gonna see Theory turn on Grayson.
You could still put him in this match to get like.
Well, you could put him in it, but yeah, but
you don't need Logan Paul and LA Knight. I so disagree with the direction they're going with how they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like
well, we don't
all
know
agree on
for
the end goal.
sure. We don't know for sure if Logan is gonna like mess it up. I'm just saying, like, if we're looking historically on how these things usually go, that looks like the direction that they're going in. Just because it's like the low hanging fruit. It's the easiest thing for them to do to set up their match at SummerSlam. But
so that's why Calvin was asking about dental surgery, because Theory is getting dental surgery.
Oh, he'll be fine in 2 weeks.
Is like how? Okay, here's my thing. Dental surgery is in like legit surgery or like wisdom tooth type of thing. I'm saying recovery time, not like the surgery itself. Like
with I guess outing myself a lot. I had 9 teeth pulled in one day, and I was fine in like 2 days. I'm not saying
that's what I'm saying. Like I had a wisdom tooth pulled, and then the next like 2 days I was eating like food. Yeah, like
I mean, obviously it depends on the extent, because like if he's getting like like a root canal, then that's like, yeah, you'll be fine. Or if he's getting, I don't know, dental implants, like that is a little bit more heavy, like obviously because they like drill into your bone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the pay-per-view was in for 2 weeks, so I think that he would be fine.
He also, even if he wasn't like cleared, you know what I mean? If this is when they're gonna do the turn, Waller could start the match.
Yeah.
And to just take the Band-Aid off or whatever, it could be a short match, and Waller starts the match, and Theory goes, but sees like certain things or whatnot, and then just drops down. It could be like a quick match. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have the next women's one for next week, which will be Candice LeRae versus Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton. And if it's not Tiffany Stratton, I don't want it. Love me some Jade. Candice is great, but you cannot not have Tiffany Stratton in this match. I got a little bit concerned about it because they put Chelsea in. So I was like, are they going to put Tiffany in? I feel like you can't not have Tiffany win this match. Like, I feel like that would be a gigantic mistake. I think Jade obviously is not getting in because Bianca didn't get in, so Jade's not getting in.
Yeah, their stories that they're falling and losing a lot and all that. Yeah.
And I think Candice, I think she could get in potentially, but it feels like they're just not really sure what to do with her in Indy, and they keep having things going on as a tag team. So to me, the obvious answer is Tiffany Stratton. You can't, like, there's no one else, like, you can't have her off this show. You can't do it.
If Tiffany Stratton wasn't in this match, I would want Candice LeRae because of the crazy shit that she used to do in PWG. This is a match that she could thrive in. Mm-hmm. But Tiffany is just like, she's got it right now. And then to align herself with Nia Jax, like, oh my God.
They're real life besties also.
That's why I love when they do that shit in WWE, where like you don't have to be like a tag team, but you're just on screen best friends because you are off screen. I love that shit.
I think there's also like the merchandise potential, like the marketing of Tiffany winning Money in the Bank, as we said, like a pink briefcase. Like, come on. I saw someone do a mock-up of her having a pink briefcase, and it says, like Tiffany or whatever on it. And I'm like, I would love to get a pink briefcase, but I would not want it to say Tiffany on it. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against Tiffany, but, I want Sara. A pink briefcase. So why not just give us a pink briefcase? I mean, I get it. They did the same thing with Senor Money in the Bank. you know, but like even then it's not even
No,
like
but senior is a general term, not
exactly.
Tiffany.
So it's like I hope that if they really do a mock, like if they really do a pink briefcase, if she actually wins, I really hope that they don't
See, I
put
don't
her
know if
name
she's
on
gonna
it.
win now. I don't know if she's gonna win now.
Why?
I think they could pull the trigger with Chelsea Green.
Oh yeah, they could potentially.
That's what I'm
I don't
saying. Like
know.
I legitimately think that Chelsea Green. But I also, if they went with Tiffany, I'd be like, all right, fine too. Like I mean,
Richard says,
Richard.
"Oh, go ahead."
Oh, I think we clicked the legit same one.
Okay. Oh yeah, 1,000%. I said it weeks ago when we were talking about it. I was like, Tiffany wins, they give her a pink briefcase, bedazzle the crap out of it. I would buy that. Like
I almost left.
it's such a useless thing, you know what I mean? Like it's expensive for something that just is gonna sit on a shelf, but like there's so many things of WWE that are not girly, you know? Like
It's not.
I love Drew McIntyre, but like all of his t-shirts or LA Knight, all of his t-shirts are so masculine. And it's like I get it, that's going to be the majority of their fans. But you know, there is the time where you sometimes do want something girly. So when it comes to Money in the Bank, like I would love to get a hot pink briefcase. I would love that over the green one, you know, because it's
Sarah, I almost
fun.
left WWE World with a goddamn briefcase until I found out the price of it.
Yeah.
Which that was.
Yeah, which it might be cheaper if you're
If
just
I
buying it,
didn't
but
buy this, I would have done it. But you
yeah.
can't have it all. You can't have it all, Sarah.
Calvin says, "Were you guys surprised DIY didn't cost Waller the match?" No,
No.
because I think that since Theory wasn't there and they were advocating for Theory,
They were.
I think that it's going to come eventually. It might even happen if they have a match at Money in the Bank. It'll happen there.
It's not who they are. They're not going to cost people matches. They want to get in your head and make you make your own mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Then we move on to Drew McIntyre. And
This was
he carried a bloodied CM Punk on his back from the back parking lot all the way to the entrance ramp and just threw him down and left. And I have to tell you, some of you, aka Bernard and Pat, were on Twitter when this was happening and was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for Sarah to see this." Yeah, that's a man. Okay, Drew is a man. He just carried a 220-pound man on his back like nothing. Like it was nothing. Okay, after kicking his ass. Okay, this man was so bloodied, and I was like, Drew, you've never been hotter. That's what I said in my mind. Okay, so I mean, he's probably been hotter, but it was still it was a good moment. And we were talking about this before going live because I thought the reaction to this segment was interesting. Because if we're looking at the past week, which I can't believe, was it Clash of the Castle was only last week?
Clash of the Castle was last Saturday.
Yeah, I'm like
like this has been one of the craziest weeks in wrestling recent history.
Like that is wild to me. It feels like it was 2-3 weeks ago. It was only 1 week ago. And you know, okay, so if we're looking at how they do this, so we know when they're going to a place like Scotland and one of their top guys is from Scotland, they're going to put him in a match and he's going to be the most over guy on the entire roster, even if he is the most hated heel in the company at 364 other days out of the year. That's what they did with Drew McIntyre. He was by far the biggest babyface on the card, even though he was facing Damian Priest, right? Like, whatever, it didn't matter. In that match, they have CM Punk come out and he ruins his chance at winning the title in Scotland. Okay. So technically, if we look at it from a wrestling standpoint, CM Punk was a heel. He was a heel that night because you were in Scotland and they were all behind Drew McIntyre. Okay. So we look at that logic. But for some reason, everybody is a CM Punk fan. So they did not view him as a heel. But then we fast forward to Smackdown. They're in Chicago. Drew decides that he wants to beat that ass on CM Punk, and that's exactly what he did. Then he's more hated, and everyone's coming at people on Twitter that are defending Drew, saying like, "Did you see what Drew did to Punk? Like that was so messed up." Blah 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 blah. Are we forgetting what he just did to Drew and what he did to Drew at WrestleMania. Like, we can't forget he's cost him the title
people.
twice now, and one of them was in his home country. That's pretty significant. I would say it would be like if Drew did that to Punk on a pay-per-view in Chicago. Can you imagine?
Oh, there'd be riots.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, this whole dynamic is so weird to me.
It's awesome.
Because the only thing that has been happening since Punk tore his triceps, which was an accident, despite what some of the internet weirdos will tell you, it was intentional, which
Sometimes
I don't know how you intentionally tear someone's tricep, but whatever.
You can't, but continue.
I know. So ever since then, all Drew has really done is talked. All he said is talked his trash, saying blah 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 blah, right? And that has really hurt CM Punk's feelings. So he has lashed out by making sure that he set it up to make Damian cash in on him at WrestleMania. And then he made sure that he could not win at Clash at the Castle in his hometown and leave the hometown hero as the champion. Drew has sat back and done nothing because he couldn't, because Punk was on the shelf, right? And instead, Drew finally retaliates after being kicked in the balls. I think that people need to remember that too.
Yeah, legit.
Pat
McAfee punt.
Yes. So he took it out on Punk, and for some reason, Drew's the bad guy. I'm just kind of confused. Like, you would have expected this if the situation were reversed. If Drew did that to CM Punk in Chicago, made sure 2 times that he didn't win the championship or he lost it, whatever. Do we really think that Punk would have just sat back and been like, it's okay, he was just mad? No, he would have been trying to kick Drew's ass all over the place.
All over the building. Like, yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on, Sarah.
Yeah, it's just a lot. But yeah, I think it is an interesting development in their storyline. And to me, it kind of almost signaled that maybe Punk did not get cleared. That's my thing, because he said at Clash of the Castle that he thought that he was going to get cleared this week, and that he was going to show up on Smackdown because it was in Chicago, and he didn't do anything. The only thing that happened to him that we saw was he was thrown from like Drew's shoulders. We didn't see him get beat up. We didn't see how he got bloodied. You know what I mean? And now he was taken to a hospital on a stretcher. And so I'm like, okay, so he's going to be out for a bit, right? To me, that means he didn't get cleared, but I could be wrong.
I didn't think of it like that, to be quite honest with you. I didn't.
That was just
my thought was he got cleared, and because he was attacked or, attacked like that, he's going to come back with even more of a vengeance, like on Raw. Like, I don't take much significance into the ambulance stretcher anymore, especially with what happened with Gable. And then we all know Ricochet was just because he doesn't have a contract. So I don't really take a lot of stock into those. I could see Punk like showing up in an ambulance on Monday and like kicking the door out. And then
I don't think so. But I think that he's not. My idea is that he's not cleared. Richard said they're saving Punk for SummerSlam. Punk is apparently not cleared until late July. Maybe Punk costs Drew Money in the Bank. Hey, this is what I was saying. I was saying that I think Drew should be in the Money in the Bank. He should qualify. I wouldn't even be mad about Drew winning Money in the Bank. I wouldn't be mad about that, just because I like the full circle moment where maybe he could defeat, he could cash in on Punk, who just won at Mania. I just feel like it would just be a full circle moment. It's looking really far ahead, but
what if he cost Drew McIntyre a shot Money in the Bank?
Well, that's what he's saying, is that he cost him at Money in the Bank. But then but
I'm saying before.
I mean, true, but what's harder? What would be more devastating to Drew? Losing a qualifying match or losing at Money in the Bank?
Qualify. He can't even qualify. Anytime he tries with that.
I think it would be worse if it was at Money in the Bank. But if that happens, it's not, then the Logan Paul LA Knight thing is not happening. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to have 2 guys coming in trying to make sure that one guy isn't getting it. So it's going to be one or the other. And it's, I would assume that if he isn't cleared until late July, like the rumors are saying, then Punk is just going to have to do things, continue to do the things that he's been doing, which is more manipulation, pissing off Drew and making him mess up. It's not going to be too physical. See, he's been cashed in on twice. That's why I'm saying, I would love for him to win. It's just a full circle moment. He willingly lost in Scotland, bro.
I can't believe that. I'm still in shock.
I know.
I got
That's the
spoiled.
thing. Again, people are not giving him enough credit. That's not easy because it's not like Punk deciding it's okay to lose in Chicago. They go to Chicago like 4 times a year. You know, it's like this is the first time that they ever did a pay-per-view in Scotland. They don't go to Scotland very often. Once a year, maybe, and that's usually non-televised shows. So the fact that he's so bought into what they're doing and he believes so much in whatever his end game is that he was willing to be like, yeah, it's fine. Like have Punk screw me out of the match is like, dang, that's intense. But anyway, we kind of already talked about it a little bit. LA Knight comes out to a very loud pop because some people think that maybe he's fading a little bit. He's not.
He's not. He won't be. Okay. No. He's not.
He came out to call out our non-defending U.S. champion Logan Paul.
Defend this more than he defends that.
Yeah, and apparently, at least at first, Logan was not there, so that is the tangent that LA Knight went on. Like, hey, he's not even here. He didn't even show up. That's why I went to his house. I loved that segment. I'm sorry we didn't talk about that last week because of Clash of the Castle, but I love that people did not want LA Knight to do a home invasion or something, and I got it. Whatever, but I love the way that he did the home invasion where he's just chilling in his pool.
Yeah, it's not a real whole WWE home invasion. It's just do like, hey man, like just tell me you're giving me a match and I will leave. Like just give me what I want.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
I thought that was great and very fitting because it also made you hate Logan more, you know, because it's like, look at Logan's lavish house and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But then we do see Logan come out and he jumps LA Knight from the back, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So furthering their feud. And that's why I think that there's definitely going to be something that happens in their qualifying match or something is going to happen at Money in the Bank, no matter who wins. Cause I think it's fair to assume that Santos Escobar is not the guy that's going to be walking out, as the winner of the qualifying match next week. So I guess how they go about it is what's intriguing to me. And as I said, I just don't really care as long as LA Knight leaves SummerSlam US champion. I don't care how we get there, whatever. I won't care about it. It's just time. Either. It's time to take it off Logan and it's time to reward LA Knight by giving him a title.
It is. This is the time to do it, and this is where you need to elevate the United States Championship into not the exact same tier as what Gunther did to the Intercontinental, but you gotta legitimize the U.S. title. I mean, we've had so many awful reigns, and it just feels like a paperweight at this point. You know, give it some legitimacy by putting it on a guy like LA Knight that can feud with guys like Mello, Santos Escobar, and like those matches would be so great on so many levels. Maybe Randy Orton, like maybe he's like, I want to be U.S. champ. Kevin Owens, like there's endless possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be an excuse to have LA Knight on TV every week because it has been kind of random this past year. He's not been on every single week, but I think people would automatically be invested in the U.S. title again simply because he was the champion. So like, I feel like that's what you want. And I think that they need to have a babyface champion at this point. Like Rey Mysterio, yeah, but like, nah.
No.
You know what I mean?
No,
so
not that one.
Yeah, not at all. And this is just a good placeholder for LA Knight right now to him eventually becoming a world champion. Which we hope to see sooner rather than later. Do we want to do comments before the main event? Or is there anything?
Is it the main event? I have been looking at the banners. Nope. Hello. No, sorry, my parents just got back from a retirement party, so they just whipped open the door, and I was like, I'm recording. I'll get some comments. Logan is losing at SummerSlam.
He has to. I don't care if it's his hometown.
Yuck foo!
What up?
I love seeing your comments. just so I can say your name. Wait, but do y'all think Logan is losing Cleveland? Absolutely. Given how much of a brat he is in general, yes, because this is part of paying your dues. You have to lose in your hometown. Yes, you got to win and you got to be the star at some point, but a star like Logan, there's no reason to have it on, and in your hometown, you go out there. Like,
if Drew just lost in Scotland, he can handle losing in Cleveland.
Exactly.
Like,
it's in America. They go there more than once a year. Like, you're fine.
And if he wants to be like a real serious part of the wrestling business, and he needs to realize when you put people over, don't be Hulk Hogan. Okay.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it, brother.
Anyway, okay, so then we get to Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, which ends in a DQ. And I'm like, I kind of feel like, do we even want to talk about this? Not really, because you know what we want to talk about is Jacob Fatu.
Right. Damn right, Sarah.
Yeah. So this match ends in a DQ because, of course, the Bloodline gets involved, and then more help comes out for Cody, obviously, to even the odds. And they corner Solo into a turnbuckle, and he's all like, ha, ha, like, no. And then he just gets this like evil, crazy laugh. And it's because Jacob Fatu comes out of nowhere, and people thought it was Jey Uso, which I always thought was funny, simply because of the red hair. And Jacob just goes bananas. Like, holy moly. This is the thing. I didn't watch SmackDown until today. I already saw everything that happened during SmackDown because I always do. And so I saw that Jacob debuted and I saw when he debuted, but I didn't see the extent of his debut. Like, I didn't know about the splash off of the turnbuckle onto the commentator's desk.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, like, I really do think that this should be considered, I don't know, maybe top 3 debuts under Triple H.
Oh,
that
hands
was
down.
insane.
Hands down, the top 3. Like, it's not only the entrance and then just super kicking everyone. It's he brought that style of not only the Samoan, but that new wave, like MLW, like that type of indie, if you want to call it, into WWE, into the Bloodline, and up the violence that the Tongans are doing. To go with KO on the steps and the speed too, to the steps, immediately into a spear through the barricade
on Randy,
and then no real time to take a breath either, goes right into battling with Cody Rhodes, gets taken over, and then he splash, and a perfect splash. That was without a doubt one of the most perfect splashes I have seen from that one distance.
Yeah.
Into like through an announce table. This man is going to be a star. Like, I am so obsessed with Jacob Fatu at this point that like he is going to be the real game changer in the Bloodline. I'm telling you.
And you can tell that they feel that way about him as also, because they don't just let anybody have debuts like that. Because it wasn't even just he debuted during the main event. He, beat up everybody, whatever, right? He threw Kevin Owens on the stairs. That's a big deal. He speared Randy Orton through the barricade. Big deal. He splashed the current face of the company, Cody Rhodes, and the champion in the main event on SmackDown in his first ever match first ever moment in WWE. Like, that is, if you're going out, it's like if he debuted and did that to Roman Reigns when he was champion or something. Like, that is when you're already getting the stamp of approval before you even did anything. So I'm excited. This goes very much along with what we were talking about earlier, where this version of the Bloodline is just all about violence and proving to you why they're dominant, why you shouldn't mess with them, why they are the kings of SmackDown, by putting their fists or bodies, whatever they need to do, on you and hurting you. That is, I think it makes it a little bit more interesting. It's different than what the original Bloodline was doing. So, like, I think this makes it interesting, and that's why I think people should be more invested in it. But I also thought it was interesting Did you see how Tama and Tonga reacted when they got in the ring to throw up the one? Did you notice that they were kind of like looking at each other a little bit like thrown off, like they possibly that they were not told about Jacob? Did you
I could
notice
see that. I did notice it. No,
And
I
I
could see
know
that.
I saw some people on Twitter saying it, and they're like, "You're looking too much into it." And so I hadn't seen it yet, so I was like, "All right, let me watch, like, super watch this to see what
Mhm.
my opinion is." And no, I definitely noticed something seemed off, and I think that that might be something that maybe they were not told. I don't think that this is going to be anything.
I don't think it is either at the end of the day,
this
but
the Bloodline 2.0 is not breaking up. There's nothing,
no, let's
you
not.
know,
Yeah, don't even entertain it.
I did think it was an interesting little crack in their group though, because it's like, why wouldn't Solo tell them about Jacob? Why would he not tell them?
I'm more interested in Paul and Solo's interaction before this, where Paul is talking about how Roman, before he got to left Mania, he said, don't touch CM Punk because he's the wise man's guy. And then 2, just keep Cody in check for Roman to come back. And then Solo stops him and says, I got to stop you there. I hate to break it to you because I love you. Weird. That was bizarre.
Well, they all say that to each other.
I know, but like that was I felt sadistic to me.
Yeah.
Another reason why I love Solo right now. And he goes, Roman's not coming back. And it's like, what does that mean?
So
like,
they're really gearing up for Roman to be a crazy over babyface when he returns. Like,
they're chanting, "We want Roman" during the CM Punk promo in Chicago.
Yeah,
like, that is insanity.
It is. It really is, and it's funny because he's done nothing. Roman hasn't done anything. He's been off TV for the last 2.5 months. Like, it's insane.
I kind of want him back though.
Oh, I know, right? But I'm very curious to see how he goes about this, because as I've said before, he wasn't the greatest babyface before the Bloodline. Like, he was actually pretty terrible. And I get it. Not everything that was given to him was great, saying like, I'm the big dog, this is my yard. Like, that's corny and dumb. I get it. He didn't have a whole lot to work with, but I do feel like he wasn't great in the Bloodline the entire time either. So it's possible that him going back to being a good guy is not going to be great at first. So we'll have to see. But this other thing I wanted to mention, because you just said it, I found it really interesting that Paul said CM Punk is off limits, that Roman said Punk is off limits because that's my guy. What happened to Brock Lesnar being his guy?
They feuded.
Exactly.
They're
Roman and Brock?
Yeah, the 3 parts here. Punk is different than Brock.
But what I'm saying is he was the advocate for Brock for a really long time. So it's just kind of funny to me that it's like, oh, Punk is off limits, but Brock, go ahead. Like, I just think that's
because Punk, that's
ironic.
I find that more of a deeper meaning. Like, oh shit, like exactly what you said. If Brock was his he was the former advocate for Brock Lesnar, and then they put on a trilogy of bangers. CM Punk is another Paul Heyman guy. You would expect him obviously to feud with him, but it's like, no, you don't touch Punk.
It's just
that
interesting.
I love that little detail. I do like it because it does add a little bit more.
Yeah.
To it.
But anyway, we can close out with comments. I saw we have a bunch.
When Roman comes back, he might be the biggest babyface.
Yep.
And might
he's not gonna outshine Cody.
I don't.
In the long term, no.
In the moment, yeah.
In the moment, yeah, just like Cody did, like when Cody came back, he outshined Seth Rollins, which was crazy. I do think that if the Bloodline stuff goes down the way we think it's going to go, where it's like Bloodline versus Bloodline, Rock versus Roman Bloodline, we're getting Rock Roman at Mania 41. 1,000%. If that's how it goes. And, I really do think that we're going to eventually see, because as I've said, and I know that some of you are going to come for me for this comment, and I really don't care. The Bloodline 2.0, there are rumors about them adding Zilla Fatu, which is Umaga's son. He posted on Instagram.
See you soon.
See you soon. So it was like, okay. I really would not be surprised if the Bloodline 2.0 keeps adding new members and they become like, too big for the original Bloodline to actually fight one-on-one because it's like they're gonna have too many. I would be interested. This is just a theory in my head, and you can tell me that I'm ridiculous and dumb if you want. I really would not be surprised if we obviously see Roman reunite with the Usos, and then the way that he builds up the rest of his team is taking the people who they wronged throughout Roman's title reign. So like Cody, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, like they end up becoming like the Bloodline's team versus the new Bloodline, because they're gonna have been the new victims of the Bloodline 2.0 as well. So they're gonna want to take down the Bloodline 2.0 by aligning themselves with the new good guy Bloodline. Just
There's a lot just happened. I don't hate that. I want to preface by saying I don't hate that. It makes more sense in my eyes to go the family route and to have the only other person that's outside family is Sammy.
I know, but but Sammy could align with the Bloodline as well. They wronged him. So, but what I'm saying is they're not going to have enough of Bloodline members to fill out the original Bloodline. So I'm saying they're not going to be able to match what the Bloodline 2.0 is doing. So that's why I'm saying they could bring in all of the people. It's going to be almost like you know, the what we said that this year's was like with the, what is it, Iron Man and whatever.
Oh, like, Cody Vengers.
Yeah, so it's like they could do that again in a different way though. It's like Roman will then, and it's like everyone forgives him and they want to take down the new Bloodline 2.0. Roman's going to realize he's created a monster. So then we see Cody and Sammy and Kevin and Randy or something, and they're all on Bloodline side. I don't know. I think it would be interesting. Very WWE.
I don't hate it. No, I'm not gonna. I don't hate it. I'm definitely outside the box and walking with you there, but I just don't know how they're gonna.
I think it would be another situation where it would be a night 1 versus in a night 2 match. Like we could get Roman versus Rock night 2 or something.
Yeah, that could be a really sweet one. Zilla for 2. We need Zilla. That would be awesome to see Umaga's legacy live on. It is, you know, it's we're gonna just see this all the time now, guys. Like the Bloodline is going to become a WWE's version of the Bullet Club, where the original members might not be there, but its legacy continues and it just becomes a staple of the program. And you kind of need that for a wrestling promotion. New Japan's been doing it for years. I mean, it's not this. No, I won't go there. Like DX even evolved into having more members and stuff after HBK. I'm trying to think of more like recent examples. But yeah, like you need a staple faction like that, and the Bloodline with the family elements, like the history of it. It just needs to happen.
I love my theory.
Purposes. The one I love my idea. Or?
Yeah, the one I just said.
Okay.
I love the Bloodline. It's again a full circle moment. Okay. All of the people that have hated Roman for the past 5 years decide to team up with Roman to take down The Rock in Bloodline 2.0.
It would be nice.
Sick. I would love it.
I'll have to find out.
Because they're not going to be able to sign enough of the family to build up 2 teams.
Give it like a couple of years. Someone, I forget which wrestler said it, but they said
I'm talking about Mania 41.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
That's the whole point, as I'm saying, The Rock versus Roman at 41, but then also Bloodline, super built up, super team Bloodline versus the new Bloodline at 41. Also, you should hope that this happens because we're going to be there.
I just want to see The Rock live again. You know, it'd be kind of nice. I mean, both times I've watched The Rock wrestle when I can remember, he has won, and oh god, it'd be great. All right, that's all hold on, I'll just go with Sara says. It's not a bad idea to do that. Would love to see Sarah's in a War Games match.
I wouldn't be mad about a War Games match, but we're thinking about like what, November, so that feels like too soon to me. Because I think that they're not gonna, because that's the thing, like, could Roman return at SummerSlam? Maybe, but SummerSlam is like only 6 weeks away. Like, I don't think people realize SummerSlam is not in mid to late August. Like,
no, it's August 1st this year.
Yeah, it's so there's not a lot of time, I feel like, to build up a real good story with the Bloodline 2.0, especially with Jacob just debuting, in order for Roman to make sense to be back at SummerSlam. I would also just love it, honestly, if Roman just returned on a random SmackDown. I've said that before. Like, have Roman return in the middle of Arkansas, at a SmackDown. You know, like
That would be
that would be so
comical.
much cooler to me than them promoting his return. But
it would be.
I don't know.
We'll have to find out. We'll have to see. Thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of No Nights Off SmackDown Breakdown. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and bell notification to know every time we go live.
Let's see.
And then follow us. See if it works. Throw the too sweet. Follow the good links in the descriptions below for all the social media links to follow us to know when we go live. And we'll be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind as Sara just goes crazy over here.
I'm just trying to get my computer to react.
Crazy. We'll be back on Tuesday for the Raw Rewind. And that's all we got today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. The loyal peeps, you know who you are. Means a lot. So that's all I got. Thank you guys for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Tuesday. Let's go.